This is going to be a bit of an emotional one for me personally, if you couldn't tell by the title. We're going to say now there are spoilers for the ending of Persona 3 here, so, But also, most people who watch the videos aren't even subscribed, so if you want more tear-jerking goodness on your timeline, subscribe and hit the bell so I can provide you with a weekly crying session. Persona 3 is a game that within its series I feel is horribly underappreciated. While I understand that later games in its series did what it set out to do mechanically better, also that it's not the most underappreciated in its own series, but despite that I feel it created the template of the future of the series incredibly well. It introduced social links, a concept that I absolutely adore. I feel that this is something many other RPGs could certainly benefit from. One of the best examples of this concept outside of Persona is Fire Emblem in its newest entry, Three Houses. This social link concept goes an incredibly long way when aiding in the main story's character development arcs, primarily because the story has to balance all of these characters to ensure that when events happen to people, the player needs to be affected by it. And Persona 3, while again not perfect, does this splendidly, and this couldn't be more apparent when reminiscing on the ending of this marvelous game. It's been over a decade since this game was released, and it's seen multiple re-releases since, but I find myself thinking and dwelling on this ending as all these years have gone by. The impact caused by this ending was enough to change me for what I think is the better. So here's why Persona 3 has the most powerful ending in video games. A common misconception for powerful endings is that something super happy or super sad must have happened. But I'd argue it's not necessarily just the events that happened at the end that make it impactful, but it's how you played up to that point. Let's say, for example, you just made it to the credits of Persona 3. You've been playing for over 80 hours throughout this perilous journey, but when playing the game, you practically did everything as minimally as possible, and basically, you worked on no social links and more. So yes, the story enforces the passion for these characters, but as the main plot has a story to tell, it does that job, but anything more than that reinforces these things about characters that was never experienced in the main story. You never got to understand to an even greater extent how the discovery of what Mitsuru's family was doing impacted her. You never got to make connections with the people at school or around town. And I get to some, this may not be important, but I promise you that in life, connections are one of the most important things you can have. Friendships and relationships are the ties we have to this world, the anchor that keeps us here on Earth and willing to wake up each morning. Some of us have significant others that give us the desire to work hard at what we do and to make it to tomorrow, while many of us have close family and friends that affect us in a similar way. This is done super well all throughout Persona 3. In the game, we get these social links with classmates, our teammates, and even other residents in town. We got to see a look into the struggles, grief, and overall lives of these people. For example, Aegis, next to the main character, she's my absolute favorite. She goes from a simple robot with no personality into a character that grows into a woman who became aware of what life is, what humanity is, what love is, and why it's important to treasure it. Aegis' transformation is one of the best outcomes of Persona 3's story. She learns so much, and it's widely apparent that it's important to her that she remember these events and lessons she's learned with her friends and the player. Another incredible social link is Akinari. I think he's got the best in the game overall, since it goes along well with the main theme of the game being death. Akinari is basically at death's door when we meet him in the social link, but he wants to die by his own terms and not because of what life throws at him. We learn from him that even if he dies, it's still a story that's left behind, and we'll never forget the conversations we had with him on that bench. It's hard to not sympathize with him. He's never been a woe is me kind of character. He didn't run away from the inevitable, and in the end, he took it head on. It's hard not to shed a tear for the man and the strength that he's shown. I know it seems like I kind of veered away from the main point of this, that being the ending, but I'm talking about these things for a reason. When you go through so much with people, it's difficult not to grow fond of those people you endure these hardships with. This is supported not only through the story, but in battle too. When overcoming challenges with the party on hand, you depend on each other to make it out alive. You have those very lives you care about in each other's hands. And this comes at a greater impact when we see it at the end of it all, the protagonist dies. The game's main theme is death, and death in RPGs are inevitable, but it's become more rare to see a protagonist die, with that just being it. Of course, there is more to the story's theme than just death, but also acceptance. Life doesn't last forever. None of us know when it's our time, and even if it's not our time, we still don't know when that death will come, whether it will be from old age or a sickness or at the hands of another. But what we have to remember is that while we may die and our story concludes there, that story does not die with you. The story may end, but those who remember you, who you've talked with, laughed with, who were impacted by you, that story of yours will live with them for the rest of their lives, and they may pass that story on to their loved ones. The story of someone who was very important to them and how their sacrifice saved us all. The protagonist of Persona 3, while taking on a literal world-eating monster, had a majority of his life force taken away, and while he survived the battle, that flame did indeed burn out at graduation. In those final moments, as the main character lays there looking up at the sky while its head rests on Aegis's lap, we reflect on everything that's happened to us in our journey, while carefully listening to every single word Aegis utters to us, as she must know that her beloved friend's final breath approaches. In those final moments as we reflect, it's so apparent that we affected the friends we call family. We know that though we die here, our friends that we fought so hard for will get to continue to live thanks to our sacrifice, and take what they learned from us and apply it to their futures, affect other people's lives just as we did for them. Getting a bit off script here, this ending just hits me, man. Even talking about this, I feel myself resisting the desire to choke up on my words. It's a mixture of happiness for what we accomplished and grief that we don't get to see the world long after we saved it. We don't get to see our friends go on with their careers or have families of their own. It hurts. We did the right thing and I'm happy I made this decision, but it hurts. It hurts because I have to go now, but I don't want to go. I don't want to go because I'll miss them, my friends. The ones who helped me through my hard times, who believed in me and aided me in my darkest days. But even still, if it's for these people that I love with all my heart, I'll gladly accept my fate. We got kind of emotional there for a minute. I don't know what that ending there was. It was kind of like I was talking, as myself and the main character of Persona 3. I don't know, but the ending of Persona 3 just always gets me all emotional. I'm not going to take up too much of you guys' time. If you guys enjoyed this video, letting me know by hitting the like button and subscribing would really mean a lot to me. I really love making videos on Persona 3 as it's a game really close to my heart, and again, the ending really impacted me. Whether it's your favorite or my favorite doesn't matter. I think we can all appreciate what Persona 3 tries to tell us, and I really think that's what's most important. But thank you guys so much for watching. My name is KingdomAce, and remember, my warriors of courage, to stay strong, stay beautiful, and always look skyward.